Meeting to order. Sorry, 6:13 still. So welcome to the AB 617 South Sacramento Air Quality Steering Committee. I just want to remind everyone, this meeting is being recorded and we do have interpretation services going at the same time.
Hello. So I just want to make an announcement about the interpretation services. If you are a monolingual English speaker, please, for people that are in line, please select the word-like interpretation icon at the bottom of the screen, then select English. If you are using Zoom via the telephone or the tablet, you will select the 3 dots to see more options, followed by interpretation and then English. And please, for the people that are here in the room, I will ask, please speak directly to the microphone in a tone and sorry, a volume that we can, all of us hear, and the interpretation services online. Thank you. Ahora en español, si solo habla o prefiere escuchar en español, seleccione el icono de interpretación que aparece un mundo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Luego seleccione español y no olvide silenciar el audio original. Si está usando Zoom en su teléfono o tableta, seleccionará los 3 puntos para ver más opciones seguidos por interpretación y después español. That's all at the moment. Christina is at the back with interpretation services. If anybody needs services, please let us know. We are so happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those interpretation logistics, and I want to extend my welcomes and hello to everyone. My name is Britta Romans. I use she and they pronouns, and I will be facilitating tonight. Normally I'm here taking notes, so it's fun to be behind the mic. I will go over some in-person reminders and logistics. If we could go through the next slide, please. So as you heard from the interpreter, we may make pauses and adjustments as we go, just to make sure that we can hear from everyone who's here in person and online. I would like to kindly remind our steering committee members, when you have a question, feel free to use your name placards. You can stack it vertically. And if you're online, please raise your hand. That way we can make sure that we know to call on you when it is time. For folks who are here in person, who are members of the community, we will be letting you know when there is an opportunity for you to make comments or ask questions throughout. And our normal order of operations will be steering committee in person, then steering committee online, then public in person, and then public online. So if we see you with your hand raised, just know that we see you, and we will get to you when it is appropriate and timely to do so. Next slide, please. Yes, so virtual logistics, for those of us who are here online, you know the drill. You can send a message in the chat. You can email the AB 617 clerk directly, and we ask that you please use your raised hand function and stay muted when you are not talking. This is our charter code of conduct. This is standard, and this has been voted into approval historically, so this is what we follow every time. I'm not going to read it over, but I'll pause for a moment so everyone can read the notes on the screen. Great. Moving into tonight's agenda. So right now we are going over the meeting logistics. We will then do some introductions. We will follow our normal approval of the meeting summary. We do have an action item today that is voting on the outreach subcommittee proposal. There will be some district updates and CARB updates. And then this is where the order switches a little bit this week. So we will be doing new business, upcoming meeting topics, and then we'll have public comments around 6:55. So we're not going to make public comment wait until the very, very end, since we are going to be doing breakout groups for the last hour of the meeting. So if you are here online and you would like to make a public comment, please note that that'll be around 6:55 to 7 and not 7:55 to 8. And as was mentioned online via email and announced last time, and a few meetings before that as well, we are going to be doing the first half of this meeting is hybrid, and then it will be solely in person for those breakout groups. So if you are joining us online, we hope to have you join or join in future meetings. That way you can be part of those small group discussions where we will be developing strategies. Okay, now moving on to introductions. Thank you so much for your patience as I went through all of those. And I'm now going to ask Morgan to conduct roll call. For those still eating? Yeah, great.
All right, when I call your name, please state that you are present. Bishop Chris Baker. Vincent Valdez. Stephanie Williams.
Present.
Tito.
Yes, ma'am.
Jamala Green.
Present.
Serena Rodriguez. Reina Moreno. Serena Rodriguez. Richard Falcone. Richard Lincoln.
Here.
Ward Winchell. Barry Boyd.
Here.
Morgan Brown, present. Lori Walker. Roberto Rizzo.
Present.
James Allison.
Present.
Arturo Arroyo.
Present.
And we also have the Sacramento Metro Air District staff here present. We have CARB staff here, as well as our facilitators. And we also have the City of Elk Grove. We have the City of Sacramento and Valley Vision. Sorry. Oh, and county as well, County of Sacramento. Thank you.
And Elizabeth, what is quorum tonight, based off how many members we have in attendance, please?
We have 10 members and 2 alternates in attendance, so 6 before. Is that correct? Just on,
It would be 5. Yes, so, for folks who didn't hear that, we have 10 members in attendance, 2 of which are alternates, so that makes it 8, divide by half, add 1, 5.
Britta, there's 10 members and 2 alternates.
Oh, I'm so bad at math, thank you. Okay, so then.
Quorum is 7.
Quorum is 7, yes, thank you. So we will be noting that when we get to voting, that quorum is, or approval would be 7 members. Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone for, following along as I learn, basic arithmetic. So now that we have gone over that, I would like to ask if there are any community events to share. If anyone here has any events they'd like to share, for the community, yes, Morgan, I see you are first, and I will pass you the mic.
Good afternoon, my name is Morgan Brown. I want to announce 2 upcoming events. On May the 4th at the State Farms on Excelsior Road, we will be launching to the 2025 Excelsior Market Series. It's free horseback riding for the kids, on-site agricultural activities, kids garden club, live music, crafts activities. And then on May the 10th at Rainbow Mini Park, we will be having a Mother's Day celebration and garden cleanup. With all this rain that just happened, we got a whole lot of cleanup to do. So we'll be having on-site maker stations, so that way families can actually make gifts on-site, for their mothers or the wonderful females in their life. And we'll also be having on-site bouquet demos, so you can actually make your own, rose bouquets on-site as well. And that's at Rainbow Mini Park, 6121 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, do you have a question, Barry? Can we get you a mic? There's one in front of Janice.
Sorry, just wanted to ask Morgan, are you guys also doing is it, Excelsior Park,
Excelsior Market,
Excelsior Market?
yes, that's May the 4th.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then that following Saturday is the Mother's Day celebration.
Missed it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I see Adrian has a community event. Thank you for coming up to the mic, Adrian. We appreciate that.
So Adrian Wren with Valley Vision. I think as I've shared at previous events, Valley Vision is working with CARB and air monitoring tech company called Acclima to do some additional mobile monitoring in the South Sacramento area. Arturo's organization, SAC EJC is working in the north area. But we have an event on Thursday, May 1st. That's this week, up at the Oak Park Community Center, 5:30 to 7:30, to design where some of the monitoring is gonna happen in South Sacramento. So we'll feed you, we'll give you a gift card. We really want your input into where that block by block mobile monitoring should take place in South Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. There was a clarification about the date, that it's Thursday. Great, okay, thank you so much for that. So, next on our agenda is our administrative items. So I will pass it to the co-leads for the approval of the meeting summary.
Just make a motion back. Okay, this is, my name is Roberto Rizzo, one of the colleagues. I would like to ask for a motion to approve March meeting summary.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Fantastic, thank you. Do we roll call? No?
So we had a motion to approve the meeting summary from Stephanie, and we had a second, as well. So now there's steering committee discussion. Is there any steering committee discussion about the approval of the meeting summary? I'm saying a head nod no, or head, I don't know if that's the same term. A head shake no. Okay, so I will ask if there are any public comments regarding the meeting summary approval. I'm not seeing any in public. I'm not seeing any online. All right, okay, so now there will be a steering committee vote by roll call. So, you will call that.
I would like to call the members for a vote. What's the motion? Okay. Barry Boyd.
Aye.
Bishop Chris Baker. Jamala Green.
Aye.
James Allison. Lori Walker. Morgan Brown. Reina Esperanza Moreno. Richard Lincoln. Roberto Rizzo, aye. Serena Rodriguez.
We went off mute, but we could not hear anything.
Okay, we'll go back. Stephanie Williams. Tito. Vincent. Richard, as his alternate.
Yes.
Great.
Elizabeth?
It's passed.
Okay, the motion passes.
Point of order, just real quick, if someone isn't here, just make sure you say absent.
Okay, so, point of order from Barry, just so everyone can hear, was that to make sure that if you were not here for the meeting where we're voting on the meeting if you weren't here for the meeting in which the meeting summary occurred, to say pass when, you're called on.
No, not exactly. If you're not here present, if you said been absent.
Ah, okay, thank you for the clarification. Additional point of order on point of order. If you are not present here in person, when we are calling the vote, we say pass.
Say absent.
Absent, thank you. Okay, so moving on to our action items. Oh, thank you so much. Serena said aye in the chat. The motion already passed, but it passed again. Okay, so now we are moving on to action items. And Jamala is online. Jamala, I am going to pass it to you to go over the outreach subcommittee purchase proposal handout, if you are ready.
I am ready. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jamala.
Okay. So the outreach committee is submitting, sorry for my background, is submitting a proposal so that we can do a purchase for outreach supplies. So the proposal that we're trying to put in is basically a rough estimate of the items that we need. We've already discussed all these items during the outreach meeting. So these are all the items that we need. We were thinking that we would just purchase everything at one time, just so that we can have everything we need while conducting outreach. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sorry, Jamala. It was a little bit quiet. Do we need a repeat? I'm seeing mixed messages. Did everyone hear Jamala's overview? I'm seeing,
It was difficult.
okay, it was difficult. Would you mind repeating, Jamala, please, just so we have a clear understanding of what is being voted on?
Okay, so the outreach subcommittee is, we are proposing, we need outreach supplies in order to conduct outreach. We do not have any of these supplies that is listed in the picture. We have already did a rough calculation of all these items. So for these items, it's not gonna be any more than 1,700. And we currently have 14,200 left of the fund. The funds have not been spent since last year, so we want to go ahead and just purchase everything at one time. So we're asking the committee to please approve this just so we can go ahead and move forward with purchasing these items.
Okay, thank you for that overview, Jamala. Before we move into a motion to vote, I just want to ask the steering committee if they have any clarifying questions. Okay, not seeing any in person or online, so I will pass it to Morgan to make or ask for a motion to vote on the purchase proposal.
I'll make the motion to approve on the purchase of the outreach.
Oh, you have to use a mic, the interpreters.
I'll make the motion on the outreach proposal to purchase supplies needed as proposed by Jamal Green.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay,
All right, steering committee, any discussion on that? Any public comments on the motion? Yes.
Thank you. Too many mics now. Wow, we used to not have enough. Now we have too many. The question that I have is in relation to storing the materials and everything that we're gonna need. I don't know if we discussed that before, but is that gonna be the district who take care of that? Is it gonna be us? And how do we handle it?
Janice?
We haven't discussed where the storage is going to be. I think we're pretty flexible. We can store it at the district and you guys can come and pick it up. Or we can, designate a person and you guys can pick it up closer to the community. So I think we can be flexible on that, but we just need an accounting on where it is at.
All right, I'm going to ask one last time, any public comment on the motion? Okay. You can close public comment.
okay, we're closing public comment. We're gonna go ahead and take a vote for the approval of the outreach subcommittee purchase proposal for Barry Boyd,
Aye.
Bishop Chris Baker,
Yes.
Jamala Green,
Yes.
James Allison.
Aye.
Lori Walker. Absent. Arturo Arroyo. That's right, Mary. Morgan Brown, aye. Raina Moreno. Absent. Richard Lincoln. Roberto Rizzo,
Yes.
Serena Rodriguez,
Let's see if she puts it in the chat.
Stephanie Williams.
Aye. Yes.
Tito,
Yes, good job, Jamala.
Richard, and Serena Rodriguez. We're voting on the purchase proposal for. Okay.
Stay at the table.
And the motion passes.
I was not named.
Oh, Richard.
Richard Falcone.
Yes. Oh, just to mix it up.
All right, now the motion is approved and passes.
Thank you. Okay, and Jamala also wrote in the chat, yes, 3 exclamation marks, so we're excited about that getting approved, everyone. Okay, and now we can move into updates. So we will start off with district updates. I'd like to invite Janice to provide updates.
All right, good evening, everyone. 3 updates, and there's all super exciting. So the first one I'm gonna go through is, the air monitoring portable laboratory update. So, last month, I mentioned to you guys that, I gave you a couple updates on some of the areas where some areas did not like potentially have power or they didn't get back to us. These were the 5 areas that you guys had talked about last year in terms of potential areas. The one that we go to the next slide, please. The one that, we were able to explore more, is the one that's close to the truck depot or the courtyard. So if you could see on the right hand where you have like the city staff courtyard on the, can you hover over that, Catherine? And I think that's where you guys were suggesting it to be. We did approach, the supervisor, manager, employee there about that place, and they basically don't have, a place for us to put a portable laboratory or the power. But what he did suggest is that we go, that there's across the street, where the red arrow is, there is a building there, that's, I think used to be, is like just north of the executive airport, where it's a really open place of land. And he offered that that location, could be available. And so I think I updated that last time. And so what I wanted to let you guys all know is that we are moving forward with the steering committee's blessing, hopefully, to get electrical out there to see, how quickly and how much it costs to get the electrical so that we can, go ahead and put the portable lab there. So that's the update for that. Do we have any questions? Morgan?
So my question is, you are looking to, and I guess clarification, you're looking to get the approval of the standing committee to use the funds that the district has to get electrical installed there.
No, if we need electrical, we're definitely gonna be using the district's funds to do that. What I'm letting folks know is just that out of the 5 areas that you guys had proposed and ranked, this one is the only area that is like the closest to the city courtyard that we can, move forward with putting the portable laboratory.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not really, like, that's the only really place that it's, very viable at this moment.
Question?
Yes.
Thank you, Richard Falcone with United Latinos, to kind of follow up on the question from Morgan. So what I'm interpreting you saying is that of all the locations, this is viable, however, it will require the permanent installation of electric, or just a temporary installation for the period of time that it will be there. And, again, I'm just trying to clarify that because, whoever owns the property gets free electric if we go this route.
Yeah, we're gonna have to explore what that looks like, because it also depends on like where we're moving it to, exactly the location. They're not really using that property right now, so putting in the electrical would solely be for our purposes.
Yes, I would imagine after AB 617 and everything else like that, the recovery or the turning off or the continued management and use, because someone's also gotta pay the electric bill. So I'm thinking just in the future, maybe I'm just being a little bit too crazy, but just thinking.
We could work that out with the city. I imagine that we're gonna run a, like trenchant area where you bring the cable through, and then once we're done with it, we would either cap it, so that it's no longer usable. Yeah, all right. Second update. Also really exciting, is that we today released our 2025 air monitoring report. And this is, the data that you guys all had been asking for a little while now. And so, we had posted it today. It's under community air protection, and you can see that on the screen right now, under community air monitoring. And then there in the link, on the very top, you have the 2025 air monitoring report. And what this report does is that it looks at the data from our phase 1 and our phase 2 data. And again, a reminder about this particular report, or not the report, the data from those 2 phases, we were using that to inform our phase 3, right, originally. However, we collected a lot of valuable information in terms of like the level of toxins, the level of different criteria. And many of you guys have seen a lot of data throughout the different meetings that we've had in the past. But now it's kind of all synthesized into a report if you want to read all 142 pages of it. And so, that's available for you guys in the community at this point. Okay. The second report that I have is also super exciting, that uses our South Sacramento data. If you can recall, the Air District had received a mobile toxics grant to also look at the data from South Sacramento to understand what the mobile toxics impacts might be, specifically for mobile sources. And so that report is also available, and it's been posted just last week. And that is under the air monitoring. You go under special monitoring projects, and under Sacramento traffic related toxic pollution, you have your final report. And so if you're interested in, it looks at, health benchmarks and things like that. And so it's located there. So you have 2 reports that are analyzed for the information that was collected in South Sacramento. The EPA grant also has information from the North community as well. And so, lots of information available, and I'm going to be working with some of the steering committee members to see if we can create a community meeting to talk about the data specifically. All right, that was that. And then the last one that I have, oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have a question from Serena.
Just really quick question. Is this something that we can bring to the office hours if we have questions about? Yes. And the last update that I have is that the district is starting a program where we are trying to make it a little bit easier for steering committee members to get to our meetings. We understand that it could be difficult to get here, especially moving forward. We're asking people to come in person because you're going to be working in these work groups. We have put together a program where we can call an Uber for you from where you're at, and then have them, take you guys here to the meeting. And then when you need to get home, we'll call you guys an Uber and take you back to where you need to be. So hopefully that is going to be helpful. I was hoping to get the procedures in today, but our test run didn't work exactly the way I hoped. So for the May meeting, it will be available. We will have instructions for you. And yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. first of all, and second, is that, but right now it's for the committee members or also for community, folks?
So it is for, steering committee members
Okay.
only.
Thank you.
One last update that I just remembered. We also just recently sent, an acceptance letter, and this is to a youth member. So, many months ago, we, the steering committee had approved, Elia Lewis to, be a part of the steering committee. And because, this person is a youth, we had to work through a lot of, different permissions from parents and things like that. And so, we were able to get the permission slips and things like that for them to, sign. So we're just waiting to get all the paperwork in, but Sarah talked to her last week and she seemed to be really excited. So, hopefully, this is not a surprise since you guys had voted her to come on. But it's been a few months. I wanted to just remind everybody kind of how we're moving forward with that.
Thanks for those updates, Janice. Very exciting. It's really great that we have so many positive updates that had been long in the process. In terms of additional updates, I would like to invite CARB to provide information about the story map. Is that Adrian? No. Oh, it's online. Apologies.
Amaya and
Amaya
Nicole.
and Nicole, please come off mute if you are able. We would love to hear from you.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Bruns. I'm an air pollution specialist here at CARB. I do have the slides on my computer, but if you're able to do them on your end, I'll just let you know when to go next. Is that okay?
Yes, we have them up and you can just
Okay.
let us to go to the next slide. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I'm gonna be speaking to you tonight alongside my colleague Amaya on the annual progress update. Every year we do, we let the CARB board know kind of the progress that's going on with AB 617 and all of the communities, including Sac Florin. And so tonight we'll just be mostly focusing on the story maps. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so just a little bit more on that. They'll be hearing about the CARB board will be hearing about the AB 617 implementation on July 24th, 2025. That will include snippets from videos. As you can see on the screen, we did perspectives, challenges, and accomplishments from a few of the communities already at Calexico and Imperial County, Portside and San Diego, and then also Stockton in the San Joaquin Valley area. And then at the board hearing, there'll also be a panel discussion with some of the community members and Air District staff throughout all of the communities, or not all, but some of the communities that are a part of the AB 617 program. This is a chance to just share and uplift stories of success, of achievements and challenges across the various programs that are going on. And next slide. I want to take, if possible, I would like to take a couple minutes just to go through the story map, just to kind of give you all an idea of what it looks like. And then I believe in a follow-up email, or if you've already gotten the links to these, you can view this story map at your own time, because we do have a survey we want each of the steering committee members to fill out if they can, just letting us know feedback on the story map, what you would like to see, and what you would like to have changed for next year. So if it's possible to go through that story map, I would like to, but if not, we can go on to the next slide. It would be the next link under, yeah. Yeah, just feel free to kind of scroll through this. I know that the boundary has been updated for your SERP, so we will include that for this year's rendition of the story map. We're also hopefully going to incorporate more videos and pictures and quotes from interviews that we collect from you all. So that's something that we want to do a lot different this year is in all of the story maps for each of the communities, we want to reach out to community steering committee members and ask them if they'd be interested in having an interview with Amaya and myself, just to kind of talk, again, just go through your perspective of, I know that Sac Florin is just starting your SERP progress and implementation, so it would be really interesting to get your feedback and your insights on how this process is going for you now, like concurrently as we're creating this story map. As you know, many other communities have started in 2018. So some of them are coming up on their 5th year. So some of their story maps will be focused more on, the whole overall process, but it'll be really interesting to, get some direct narrative from you all of how it's going right now and where you've come from with the story map as well. And yeah, the story maps will just be a great tool to use to get information on camps as well as SERPs. Camps being the community air monitoring programs, and then the SERPs, the community emission reduction programs. We'll also host a lot of links so that way people can kind of come to this and then go elsewhere to find more information, whether that's more information through CARB, more information through SAC Metro, or I know the steering committee has their own website, so we can also directly link to that so people can get kind of updates on what's going on with the steering committee. If anyone feels like wanting to go through that again, I believe you all have access to this PowerPoint, so you can look at that later on. If you go to the next slide, I'll hand it over to Amaya to kind of go over some of the feedback that was given to us from the outreach subcommittee.
Thank you, Nicole. Hello, everyone. I'm Amaya. I work at CARB. I work in the Office of Community Air Protection with Nicole. And some of you might remember me from the outreach subcommittee where I presented to you guys a couple weeks ago on this same topic just to get some of your initial feedback on the story maps. So as Nicole said, this is something that CARB is newly creating to update our board on progress within communities, but we're also hoping to expand that so that it can just be a general tool and resource for community members to kind of document your journey as part of this program and to showcase your resources. Basically, we want to tailor it to whatever is most useful for the communities that we're highlighting in the story maps. So this is just some initial feedback that we received from the outreach subcommittee. The main thing was definitely to update the community boundaries, because I know that you guys updated that last year. So we want to have that updated for this year. A focus that you wanted in this year's story maps was the transition to a SERP community and a focus on the SERP development process. So that's something that can be kind of unique to your story map since CARB just started creating these story maps last year. So it would be unique and resourceful to be able to kind of document that process for yourselves, but also for others that want to learn about the Community Air Protection Program and learn about what this SERP development process looks like. Something else that was brought up was highlighting bus tours, which I actually would love more information on, just so Nicole and I can make sure that we have that. And the last thing is to link to the SAC Metro story map. So since Nicole was showing those links at the bottom of the page, we can highlight any other resources that you want highlighted there. Next slide. Thank you. And so the next feedback that I asked of the outreach subcommittee is how you would best use the story map. Since I said we want to kind of tailor it to each community, I was hoping to get some feedback on what would make it most useful for you guys. So what I heard back was that it would be useful to tailor it as a tool for people to learn about the Community Air Protection Program and to learn about the SERP development process in general. Something else I heard was using it as a recruitment tool or to share community events. So if you're looking for more members on the steering committee, the story map could be a good resource that you share with new people, is to give them a good snapshot of what the CSC has been up to already. And last, I heard that you wanted to use it as a kind of living document that's continuously updated. So as you guys have updates or have events or have links that come up, Nicole and I can try to kind of check in regularly so that we make sure that this resource stays up to date and useful for you all. So that's the main feedback that I heard. And I think next we're hoping to get some feedback from the whole CSC as well. So I'll go ahead and pass it back to Nicole.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amaya, also for giving some more context back on the initial feedback that we got from the outreach committee, as well as just the story maps in general. So thank you for that. I do want to do a time check. I know that you had mentioned at 7 p.m. you're going to kind of break off into breakout groups, and that public comment was going to be before that. So if you do go to the next slide, a couple of questions we want to ask of you as you're looking through the story map is, what would you like to highlight in this year's story maps? And then if you go to the next slide, and then also again, how would you like to use the story maps? I believe following this meeting, you will get a link to a Google survey, Google form that you can fill out. Yes.
Just interrupting really quick, if I could instruct the steering committee to just, if you'd like to whip out your smartphone and take a photo of the QR code on both these slides. They're in your packet, so if you want to use your printed slides, you can just refer back to this later or take a photo. That way you can fill out these surveys later, but I ask you to please keep in mind the questions that they're prompting. So if you want to ask those one more time, Nicole, thank you.
Yes. Yes, so first question is just, what would you like to highlight in this year's story maps? And then as you can see on the screen, second question is more specific on what would you, or how would you like to use the story map? So they sound almost similar, but the difference is if there's any specific stories, or if you as an individual would like to be interviewed, that's something we can highlight in the story map. And then how you would like to use a story map is, again, I think as we heard from the outreach subcommittee, is a tool for recruiting new members, journaling experiences, links to other tools so people can learn more about efforts around community air protection. So that's kind of just the two differences between that. And then I think the next slide is just our contact info. Yes. So Amaya is leading the video series, and then I'm leading the story maps, but please reach out to both of us or one of us if you would like to get more information. And also if you are interested in being interviewed, we can do that in person, or we'll try to do it in person if it works out, but also more likely do it through Zoom or by phone. And I think that's it. Thank you for letting us come and speak with you tonight. If you have any questions, we'll stick around, but yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you, Amaya. We appreciate your presentation, and steering committee members, you can definitely reach out to them via the email that's in the packet. Please make sure to fill out that form for them later, especially if you're interested in an interview or if you have more information on the bus tours that they were asking about. And with that, I think we can move on to our next item. So we have some new business and upcoming meeting topics. I will just pass it to the district to provide an update on upcoming office hours.
All right, I think last meeting in March, I had shared with you all that we're gonna start a new thing where we're gonna be doing virtual office hours. And these are the next dates, and usually they're gonna be either right before a steering committee or right after. Because we know that there's a lot of questions that you all might have after the meeting, or even before a meeting in preparation for it. One of the things that's really important as we move into strategy development is that if you all want to, work with the strategy with us, just like Tito and Vincent did, last week, just let us know in advance, so that we, have the right experts at the table to help with that conversation. So any heads up that you could give us, is really appreciated so that we don't have, staff members who, you know, are sitting there if they don't have that topic. Okay? The next thing is the upcoming steering committee meetings. So in May, the fourth Monday is a holiday for the district. And so that we reschedule that meeting with the discussion of, with the steering committee last month on June 2nd, and it's gonna be here at La Familia. We're also able to secure Fletcher Farms for June and July. However, the facilitators and I were just talking, right before this meeting. And as you all know, and I'm gonna go through our timeline pretty soon, we're gonna be breaking out into groups, just like you see here inside the table. Like we have 3 teams and 3 groups. Fletcher Farms is pretty small. And so it is going to be a little difficult, and people might be talking, like, you know, it might get a little chaotic. It's the same room where we had the boundary discussion, if you all remember. So what I was going to throw out there was that we could also host it at the Air District. I know it's, you know, further from the community. However, we do have like bigger TV screens. So you see these monitors here. We have bigger TV screens where folks can look at the screen better. We are able to, you know, have like a bigger space to talk. And so that's just one idea that I'm throwing out to the steering committee to see if that's something you guys are interested in. We can continue to try to find other venues. However, it might be difficult with getting the right equipment to those particular places. Oh, yeah, so,
Richard offered an alternative venue to Fletcher Farms for those who did not hear.
Yeah, that's our district facility. I have 2 others that could be suitable to.
He offered 2 additional facilities that could be suitable. So Janice will be following up with Richard Lincoln on that.
is there any opposition? I'll just, because we'll visit some of the sites, it's also, but is there any opposition and also coming to the Air District, maybe doing a tour of our office, because I know, was it Morgan? At one of our outreach committees, said that could be really useful for the steering committee as well.
Excuse me, no opposition. Thank you, Richard, for that offer. I still do think that it would be beneficial, maybe one of those, we actually did do it at the Air District. Again, just, I felt like it was really impactful when I went and visited their site. So just being able to kind of see like that hands-on experience of what they're doing. I'd still say we should at least try to shoot for one of those meetings to do at the district.
Thank you. No, I second that. You were so excited when you went. We ripped out there. She's like, we need to go as a group. My only hesitation is, you know, working downtown every day is like parking for the members and like be a little further. Maybe there's an option there for district.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to our facilities manager and our admin director about, we actually have a parking garage right under our area. I just haven't connected with her yet to see if that's something that I can just open the door and have people come in.
And additionally, there is a light rail station, like on that same block, or maybe 1 block over. Do you have another question?
This is,
Uber might be, is going to be available by then.
yes. That's what I wanted to mention that, and this is for the June 2nd, that we're looking at June 2nd and the July meeting also.
It would be the June 23rd, or the June 28th. Oh, sorry, July 28th.
Okay.
So our May meeting would be here at La Familia, and I'm proposing, either or both, June, July.
Serena, I see you have a question. We could pass you a mic, please.
I won't be here July 28th.
I heard my neighbor also will be here July 28th. We prefer the June date if we're doing their district.
The June date.
The June date, June meeting.
June, got
Noted. Thank you. Any other further steering committee comments? Anyone online? Oh, Barry, I see you. Thank you.
Forgot my question. Just remembered my question. In regards to the Uber, is that service being funded through the district and not through any of the steering committee funds?
The Uber service would be out of 617 funds, but not necessarily out of the steering committee outreach funds.
Thank you for that. So it's still coming out of monies that we could use to go into the community by jumping in an Uber. So I ask all of you, if you don't need to jump in an Uber, please don't use that service, and or we may want to rethink about having that Uber option available to us. But not to say to take it away, because we don't know when one's vehicle may break down. But the use of using funds to ride around, to be chauffeured, when those funds can be going back into the community to mitigate the air pollution for which we are here for. My opinion, 2 cents. Thank you.
Roberto?
Thank you. I wanted to get an open conversation there because that's a very important point. And at the same time, thinking about, community members or committee members sometimes, it's not as easy or as flexible, to get places. So being able to take advantage of that, I think is a good investment. But I agree with you, it's definitely being mindful of how we spend it.
All right, thanks for some discussion on that. Just noting the time, it is 7:05, so we did start 13 minutes late, but that doesn't mean we will end 13 minutes late. Just noting we did start late and we are behind still. So I will ask if there is any other remaining new business from the steering committee. Seeing none, we can move into public comments. Are there any public comments in person? Please raise your hand if so. No public comments in person? Okay, any public comments in line? Okay, I'm not seeing any public comments online. I did want to read a message from Nicole, who gave the card presentation just a minute ago. Nicole said, "Thank you again for letting us come and speak tonight. I also want to mention, we do have a more detailed survey that gives a bit more background on the story maps, more so than the Mentimeter polls. And she provided a link to access it to and noted that she will send it to Janice to distribute to the steering committee. So just be on the lookout for that." Seeing no public comments, before we move into the CERT team activities, there was a mention of getting a steering committee picture, which is perfect timing because Jamala just got here. So if the steering committee, so on that note, as mentioned at the beginning, when we went over the agenda, the second half of this meeting will be dedicated to breakout groups. Before we break out, there will be a presentation. So we will be doing some shuffling. And before that, do we want to do the photo after the discussion? Okay, great. So we're gonna have Janice provide the overview and the presentation, and then we'll do the photo after we announce where people are breaking out. That way it's a natural transition. Okay. On that note, I will pass it to Janice to review the CERT team activities.
All right, thanks everyone. So I'm just gonna go through some what the teams are, some updated timeline, what are some of the resources that we're gonna be going over in small groups for you guys. Many of you guys have already heard this over this past month in your CERT subcommittee meeting, in the outreach subcommittee meeting, and in virtual office hours. So I don't think many of you are not gonna be following me. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here are our CERT teams. There's 4. Urban planning and mobile is 1, residential, commercial, and outreach. And your guys's collective task is to develop a variety of strategies based on the concerns for those topics. And that's gonna be over, April this month, through July at the steering committee and subcommittee meetings. The SERP subcommittee had reevaluated on how we're approaching this, this brainstorming of strategies. And they, updated the timeline to reflect breakout groups where we're using this meeting space in every month, the second half of it to break out into these groups and these tables that you see so that you guys can develop these strategies together during this time. And so we are asking for folks to come in person because the remote version is not going to be available for that brainstorming session. And then May and June, it's gonna be the breakout work groups. You're gonna be working in your teams. There may be a presentation before you guys break out in your teams because it might be a tool that you use as you guys are brainstorming. So for example, in May, we're gonna have a incentive presentation where our team are gonna be going over potentially some of the guidelines that you guys might want to consider, like what type of projects that we can do for the SERP. And then once you know about them, you can break out in your teams and use that information to brainstorm. June is going to be determined. We didn't want to preempt it. We wanted to kind of hear what you guys had to say, where your interest is, and then think about what that presentation that you might all want to have. Okay. Then in July and August, after you guys come up with your strategies, we are hoping that your teams are going to be reporting out on the strategies and why you think everybody should be supporting you on there and giving space for public members who are going to be coming to also share their ideas. So that's 2 months dedicated to that. And then in September, we're going to do a feasibility assessment discussion. During this entire few months, we're gonna have our teams and the cities and our partners joining us for this conversation. As you guys are going through this conversation, they're gonna be sharing, what ideas of like what they have seen through their experience of what may or may not be feasible. In the September timeframe, we're hoping to get about 85% of the way there by the time you guys get to September. And then in September, we're gonna do the last 15 of like things that we might need to rethink about based on any discussions that you guys have. So hopefully you guys are working with our teams, working with our partners to really figure out what is viable for the strategies that you guys are gonna be talking about. Then in October and November, we're gonna be finalizing, prioritizing the strategies because, if there's like 200 strategies that you guys want to do, and there's only a set amount of money, we're gonna need to prioritize what that looks like. And so it doesn't mean that, we're gonna, put aside, it could be that, hey, we're gonna start with this amount first. And if we get more money, then we can move to this so that we know how to move forward in the next 5 years of implementation. Then the goal is that the CSC approves the draft SERP strategies for public comment in December. So that is really where we're hoping to have everybody really, come up with the final set that we're gonna be sharing out with the public for public comments. Next slide. Then this hasn't changed at all. So the first quarter of next year is releasing that information. The public gets to provide comments. We respond to the comments. We work with you all on how we're going to respond to the comments. And then we're hoping to, in March of 2026, for this CSC to approve the final document for the SERP. And then in April and May, kind of administrative items of getting all the other boards to approve it, our district board, the state board, things like that. So with us going through the timeline, I really wanted to map out and share and also give you guys a sense of how much time you have to create the strategies. In the SERP, we have SERP subcommittee, outreach subcommittee, and CSC meetings. And so we are taking the second half of each of those meetings to develop the strategies. So for the SERP subcommittee, the first half of that meeting, and we worked with Vincent on this, is going to be your regular meeting. The second half of this is that we're gonna have team breakouts for each of, for urban planning, residential and commercial sources to work through additional strategy development. Then, we all know that, you know, from our February meeting, there was so many outreach strategies about letting people know about our committee, letting people know about our work, creating awareness of air quality. We're gonna dedicate the outreach subcommittee meeting, the second half of this, and also talk to Jamal about this, and she agreed, that we're gonna be working through just the outreach strategies in that meeting. And then in the CSE monthly meeting, like this one, we're gonna send the second half for urban planning, residential and commercial. With that, I listed on the bottom of like the suggested schedule. The outreach team has about 3 to 4.5 hours of work time. That's scheduled, and then all the other teams have about 6 to 9 hours. And so I really wanted to share that with y'all because, you know, as much as I think we all want to spend a lot of time vetting it, I wanted to give you some sense of what the constraints might be. However, if you all feel like, and you have the capacity to say, well, you know, 6 or 9 hours is gonna work out for us, and we want to, in your teams, go meet separately to create strategies, you are welcome to do that. I think we just wanted to set some expectations in terms of like, if this is the capacity, if this is what you're agreeing to, then this is the amount of time that we have. And you guys can talk about that as one of the first things we're gonna talk about in your small groups is how that looks like for that team. Next slide. Team resources. Again, we're gonna go through this in your small work groups. We have a template on how we can write the strategies. We have the updated CERP goals that you guys approved last month. We have the CERP possible strategy document. So it's taking all of your February ideas and we categorize them into the strategy type, and they're also colored. So green is quick, blue is medium, and the red is long-term. And then I think also in the CERP subcommittee meeting, there was a request to take some of the strategies that you guys had thought about and see where other communities had something that was similar, so you're not reinventing the wheel. So that document is also available for you all. District staff is always available for support. So just give us a call if you get stuck on anything, and we can either be in a virtual office hours or we can set up a one-on-one with you. And we also set up a Google Drive. So we know that it's very difficult to keep looking for these documents. And so we put all of this information in a Google Drive for each of the teams. And then as you guys are developing the strategies, you can throw them in that Google Drive so your other fellow members can also follow up with that. Next.
More water?
I'm trying to go fast. So this is just, many of you guys have seen this writing template. We, at each of your teams, we have someone who developed them, we talked about them, we kind of know what needs to go in there. And so we have staff to help support as you guys are working there. And then the CERT teams here. The wonderful thing about this is that you do not have any overlapping people in different teams, so you can really dig into the concerns and also be able, so that we can also work simultaneously as we're in these meetings. Next slide. I think that's it.
Okay, so before we go into our breakouts, I want to ask, number one, are there any questions from the steering committee on what was presented? We can also talk about these in the small breakouts, but asking if there's any clarifying questions that would benefit other steering committee members to hear them as well. No, okay, great job, Janice, no questions for you. Okay, so we are going to transition to breakouts and we will end the remote session. So that means we're going to be entirely in person. Those of you who are here online, thank you for joining. We wish you were here in person. Maybe if you are able to join in the future, we welcome that. And the remote session, as I said, will not be available for the breakout rooms. So on that note, the district can end the meeting recording and